Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and really get into the heart of important topics. Today, we are diving into something absolutely fundamental for, well, for any business success. Mastering quality. We're focusing on what our source material calls the Q factor. Yeah, our main source today is an awareness session called the Q factor, Mastering ISO 9001 for Business Excellence. And our mission really is to unpack ISO 9001. What is it really? Why is it so much more than just some bureaucratic checkbox? And how does this whole idea of the Q factor, this deep importance of quality affect you, regardless of, your job or industry?
Exactly. And the goal here is pretty straightforward. Give you a clear, concise understanding of the standard, but also, crucially, reveal why quality isn't just about ticking boxes. It's genuinely the thing that makes businesses stand out today. It's the differentiator.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The big question first. What is ISO 9001 at its core?
Right. Well, ISO 9001, fundamentally, it's the internationally recognized standard for quality management systems. QMS, you'll hear that a lot. It's developed and published by the International Organization for Standardization, which is ISO. And the amazing thing, really, is how widely it applies. It's not just for, say, manufacturing giants. It's literally designed for any organization. Size, type, industry, doesn't matter. It essentially gives you the criteria, the framework for building consistent quality, making customers happy, and always getting better. Continuous improvement. The latest version, that's ISO 9001.201 FE, it really zeroes in on a few key things. Risk-based thinking, leadership commitment, and managing everything through processes, a process approach.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit because, wow, so it's not just for the big factories or huge companies, but literally any organization. That's actually fascinating when you think about it.
It is, yeah. It makes it incredibly versatile.
And that risk-based thinking part you mentioned, that sounds important. What does that actually look like day to day?
Oh, it's absolutely central now. Instead of just, waiting for a problem and then fixing it, risk-based thinking means you're constantly asking, okay, what could potentially go wrong here? Or even, what opportunities might we be missing if we don't look ahead? It's about being proactive, understanding potential pitfalls before they happen, and also spotting chances to improve. It shifts quality from reactive to strategic, predictive even.
Strategic. I like that framing.
And to make it work across the board, strategically, ISO 9001 is really built on 7 key quality management principles. These are like the pillars holding it up. They're the bedrock of that whole Q factor idea we mentioned. So first, you've got customer focus, which isn't just, meeting expectations, but actively trying to exceed them, really understanding the customer. Then there's leadership, hugely important, getting that unified purpose, that clear direction right from the top. Engagement of people. This means getting everyone involved, empowered. Quality becomes everyone's job, not just a department's.
Right, not just top down.
Exactly. Then the process approach. Thinking about activities as interconnected processes, like how does step A affect step B affect the final outcome? Makes things way more efficient. Improvement. This one's constant. Continual improvement has to be like a permanent goal. Always looking for ways to be better. Evidence-based decision-making. Basically making decisions based on actual data and analysis, not just gut feelings.
Makes sense.
And finally, relationship management. This means actively managing your relationships with, everyone who has a stake. Suppliers, partners, maybe even the local community. It's about building sustainable success together.
So listening to that list, these aren't just abstract concepts, are they? They're really practical guidelines for how a company, any company, operates effectively day to day.
Precisely. It's an operational philosophy, really.
And that philosophy, that focus on how things are done, brings us right back to the Q factor. This idea that quality isn't just about compliance hoops. It's the real edge, the differentiator in today's markets. It's why quality matters so much.
That's the core of it, yes. Embracing this Q factor isn't just about meeting a standard. It's about unlocking a genuine strategic advantage. Let's break down why it's so critical based on the source. There are 5 key reasons. First, customer satisfaction. A high-quality experience, whether it's a product or service, builds incredible trust and loyalty. ISO 9001 gives you that systematic way to figure out what customers need, meet those needs, and ideally exceed them. You're creating fans, not just buyers.
Creating fans. I like that.
Second, operational efficiency. This is often overlooked. People think quality costs money, but implementing ISO 9001 forces you to really look hard at your processes, streamline them, cut out errors, reduce waste. Often you find inefficiencies you didn't even know were there, and that leads directly to cost savings, better productivity. Quality actually saves money.
So it becomes a profit driver in a way.
Absolutely. Then number 3, Market access and competitive advantage. This is very practical. Look, nowadays, lots of tenders, big contracts, major clients, they require ISO 9001 certification. It's often a basic entry ticket. Having it is like a passport to new business, new markets. It's a globally recognized mark of trust. It sets you apart immediately.
Okay, that's a very concrete benefit.
Definitely. Fourth is employee engagement. A well-set-up QMS clarifies things for everyone. Roles, responsibilities, what the objectives are. When things are clear, people work better together. There's less confusion, more teamwork. People feel a sense of ownership. When your staff understand how their specific job contributes to the overall quality, they get more engaged, more invested.
Yeah, you can see how that would boost morale and probably innovation, too.
Yeah, for sure. And finally, number 5, continuous improvement. This is really the engine driving the Q factor. ISO 9001 actively encourages a culture where feedback is welcome, where you learn from mistakes and successes, where you're always looking to innovate. It means you're never really finished. You're constantly adapting, evolving. That keeps an organization agile, resilient, especially when things change fast.
It's really striking how these all connect, isn't it? It's not just one thing.
Yeah.
Better internal workings lead to happier customers, which opens up new markets, which probably motivates employees.
Yeah.
It really does sound like a full circle benefit, touching every single part of the business.
Yeah.
A total transformation, potentially.
It truly can be. And if you peek inside the standard itself, ISO 9001.2015, it's structured very logically around key clauses like chapters in a book. For instance, you've got clause 4, context of the organization. That's all about understanding your playing field, what's going on outside and inside that affects your quality. Then clause 5, leadership. This asks, is management truly committed? Are they walking the talk on quality? And clause 8, operation. This gets into the nitty-gritty of planning and controlling your core processes, how you actually do things.
So it provides a clear map.
Exactly. And the payoffs, the tangible benefits of putting this framework in place and really living that Q factor mindset, they're significant. You generally see improved product or service quality, obviously. That leads to greater customer satisfaction. You get better at managing risks, so fewer nasty surprises. Internal communication usually gets clearer, smoother. All this tends to open up more business opportunities. And of course, it helps ensure you're meeting regulatory and legal requirements. Stronger compliance.
It really sounds like a system designed to create a positive feedback loop. Better inside leads to better outside, which feeds back inside. It affects everything. Okay, so for anyone listening who's thinking, all right, this sounds good, but how does a company actually get ISO 901 certified? It seems like a big undertaking.
It is a structured process, definitely not something you do overnight, but it's manageable. It typically follows about 7 main steps. First is usually a gap analysis. You basically compare what you're doing now to what the standard requires. Find the gaps. Then comes QMS development. Based on those gaps, you start building the necessary documentation, manuals, procedures, that sort of thing. Step 3 is implementation. This is key. Training staff, actually using the new systems, collecting the evidence, the records that show you're doing it.
Right, the doing part.
Then, before the official auditors come in, you do an internal audit. It's like a dress rehearsal. Check yourselves. After that, there's a management review. Leadership sits down, looks at the data, reviews how the system's working, makes decisions. Then comes the big one, the external audit. An independent certification body sends auditors to check everything thoroughly. And finally, if all goes well, you achieve certification, you get the certificate. A common hurdle, though, sometimes organizations underestimate the cultural shift needed. It's more than just paperwork. It's changing how people think and work.
That makes sense. It's a mindset shift, too.
Definitely. So this brings us to the so what question.
Right.
Why should you personally care about ISO 9001 and this Q factor? Well, the source makes a great point. Whether you're a leader working in operations, finance, HR, whatever, this standard and the quality mindset behind it, it impacts your work. How? Well, it leads to clearer expectations for your role. It helps create more efficient systems that hopefully make your job easier. And it builds a shared commitment to doing things well, to excellence.
And the source material puts it quite bluntly, doesn't it?
It does. It says, in today's global economy, quality is not optional. It's essential for survival and growth. For everyone.
That's a powerful statement. So wrapping up our deep dive today, the main takeaway seems to be that ISO 9001, it's really not about just getting a certificate for the wall. It's a framework, a tool to help embed a real culture of quality, that Q factor, deep within an organization's DNA.
Exactly. And when quality becomes that core value, when you've got that Q factor thinking, Everything else tends to follow. Customer loyalty improves, employees are more satisfied, and yes, the bottom line often gets stronger too. That's the quality advantage. That's what really sets the best organizations apart from the pack.
So here's a final thought to leave you with today. Even if your organization isn't going for a formal ISO 9001 certification, how could focusing more intentionally on these principles, customer focus, process thinking, continuous improvement, how might that change the way you approach your work or help your team, your organization, reach its goals? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.